All right, today we're jumping into something big. We're going to explore how artificial intelligence and some brand new ways of testing are poised to completely shake up education, especially in really high stakes fields. Like healthcare, where being competent and compassionate is literally everything. And for someone like a nurse educator, this isn't just some abstract idea. Assessment is the tool they use to decide who is truly ready to care for us. It's how they define the absolute essential qualities of a professional we can trust with our lives. But, and this is a big but, here's the problem. Our traditional exams, they're fantastic at measuring how much you can memorize, but they often completely miss the mark when it comes to capturing things like critical thinking or being adaptable, or that one quality that is so vital in healthcare, empathy. So, that's the big question we're tackling in this explainer, right? What actually happens when we drop AI right into the middle of the classroom? Does it solve this problem, or does it maybe create a whole new set of challenges? Let's find out. All right, so let's really dig into this. Before we can see where we're going, we've got to have a really clear picture of why so many educators feel like the current system of assessment is, well, broken. I mean, just look at this list. It really shows you the gap, doesn't it? Think about it. A checklist or a multiple choice test rarely looks anything like the messy, complex, unpredictable reality of a nurse's day. These tests often reward just one way of communicating, which can put students who think or express themselves differently at a huge disadvantage. And they really struggle to measure something as nuanced as compassion. Okay, so if the old way is hitting its limits, what's coming next? Well, researchers are putting forward two really powerful, tech-driven ideas that could show us a much better path forward. So first up, we've got AI-powered assessment. And picture this. A nursing student is practicing a really tough conversation with a patient. Only it's a virtual patient. The AI can analyze their word choice, their tone, and give them immediate, data-driven feedback. It creates this amazing learning loop right there in the moment. And then there's the second piece of the puzzle, multimodal assessment. So instead of just writing an essay, a student could maybe create a short video explaining a complex procedure or design a flowchart of their clinical reasoning. This lets students with different strengths, whether they are visual thinkers, great speakers, or amazing writers, really show what they know. And this is really the key takeaway here. These two ideas, they aren't in competition with each other. They're like two sides of the same coin. The whole goal is to blend the incredible efficiency of AI with the expressive freedom of multimodal projects to create tests that are way more flexible, fair, and just a lot more meaningful. Okay, and you knew there was a but coming. Like any powerful new tool, these innovations come with some pretty significant risks. These are deeply human challenges, and we absolutely cannot afford to ignore them. I mean, this question just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? Can we, and maybe more importantly, should we, try to boil down something as complex and human as empathy or cultural awareness into a number spit out by a machine? And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. On the one hand, AI makes this big promise of objectivity, right? It's just data, no human bias. But here's the catch. What if the data we train the AI on is already full of our own biases? Well, the algorithm might just learn those same unfair patterns. And if the tool is just a black box that can't explain how it made its decision, we have no way of knowing if it's actually being fair. So when you boil it all down, the risks are pretty serious. We could start handing over our own professional judgment to machines. Educators themselves need a whole new set of skills to grade a video podcast as fairly as they grade an essay. And this is a big one. If some students have access to the latest tech and others don't, these new methods could actually make the digital divide even wider. So, with all these risks on the table, you might be thinking, now what? Well, the answer isn't to just throw the tech away. It's about building a much smarter partnership between human wisdom and machine intelligence. And that brings us to this really cool idea called human-guided intelligence. The concept is actually pretty simple, but it's powerful. Think of it this way. The technology is the co-pilot. It can crunch the data, spot the patterns, but the human educator is always the pilot, making the final calls based on their experience, their ethics, and the context of the situation. So, what does that actually look like in a classroom? Well, it's a few key steps. The AI might flag a potential communication problem in a simulation. The human instructor then takes a look at that feedback, but instead of just passing it on, they use it to start a real conversation with the student about the why, about the tone, the empathy, all the subtle things a machine can't fully get. And, super importantly, the AI has to be transparent. It has to explain its work. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The most important calls, the ones that involve our values, our ethics, our human understanding, those have to stay in human hands, always. Technology should be there to enhance our judgment, never ever to replace it. Okay, so we've talked about the tech, the risks, the partnership, but now let's get to what might be the most critical piece of this whole puzzle, making sure these tools are fair for everybody. This is a principle called design equity, and it's not about just hoping things turn out fair. No, it's about actively, intentionally building fairness into the system right from the very beginning. It's about making sure every single learner has a real shot at success. Okay, so how do we actually do that? Well, it comes down to some really practical steps. We can offer options for students who have slow internet at home. We actually teach students how to make a good video or podcast, so we're grading their ideas, not just their tech skills. We demand that the AI companies show us how their algorithms work. And we have to ask the students directly, do you feel like you belong here? Do you feel seen and supported by this process? You know, at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. We shouldn't be excited about AI just because it can grade papers faster. We should be excited if it helps create brand new possibilities. Possibilities for deeper understanding, for more inclusive classrooms, and for a stronger sense of human connection. And so, that brings us right back to the question that's at the heart of all this. And you know what? This isn't really a technical problem. It's a moral one. The power of these tools is undeniable, for sure, but their promise is only going to be realized if we guide them with human wisdom, with an ethical commitment, and with an unwavering focus on making things fair for every single learner. The future of assessment isn't just about what students know. It's about who we empower them to become.